I thought that we were done with the prepubescent boy. When I published that video yesterday morning showing how Megan Rapinoe ended her soccer career in huge embarrassing failure, I thought that was it. Over the last 3 or 4 weeks, I feel like we have spent an exorbitant amount of time talking about the Megster and her team of professional activists. After they were eliminated from the World Cup early Sunday morning in embarrassing fashion, I was under the impression that we were done with this. I thought the mainstream media would allow Megan Rapinoe to fly back to her nest and retire in peace. I thought she would be busy rocking the nest with the Sue bird, preparing a fresh batch of eggs for the fall harvest. Leave it to the worldwide leader in woke. Leave it to ESPN to find a way to stretch this failure for another 24 hours. This is like a fungus. It's like a bacterial infection that refuses to go away. You keep treating it, you immunize yourself against it, and here she comes again. Same fungus, different hair color. Even though I find Megan Rapinoe to be detestable, even though I think she is a cancer not only to the sport of soccer, but to the entire country, there is just simply no denying the fact that Megan Rapinoe is one of the best female soccer players that America's ever seen. Now, granted, you can make a strong case that she didn't compete against the best competition. The rest of the world, they are just now catching up with the American women in terms of skill, as Megan Rapinoe is flying off into the sunset with the Sue bird wing and wing. But to be fair, that's not her fault. I mean, Megan Rapinoe, she can only compete against whoever's on the field with her. Her resume speaks for itself. There's no denying the fact that Megan Rapinoe is an all-time great, which is fine. That's fine. But let's imagine for 1 second that we are working at the worldwide leader in woke. I know that is a traumatic thought, but just bear with me here for a second. We have been given the task of putting together a tribute video to honor the career of Megan Rapinoe. We're given 3.5 minutes of valuable airtime on SportsCenter on Monday morning. Me and you, how are we going to go about putting this together? What would we include in this montage? Perhaps we show clips of some of her best performances. Maybe we show footage of her celebrating winning the World Cup. We show the Megster winning the gold medal at the Olympics. Maybe we even show highlights of the game between the U.S. women's team and a group of prepubescent boys, where the women were completely dominated by young men who lacked the ability to grow facial hair. You could have combined the facial hair on the boys' team, and it would still be less than the number of whiskers on the average dump diver. If we are honoring a professional athlete on SportsCenter, I am assuming the expectation is going to be using footage that honors their athletic career, right? Highlighting their accomplishments and accolades on the field. In the past, ESPN has been absolutely brilliant at putting things like this together. After the death of Kobe Bryant, ESPN put together a beautiful tribute honoring his life and career. Hell, they produced 10 episodes of The Last Dance with Michael Jordan. 99.9% of the documentary focused on his basketball career. The only time they mentioned politics was when they briefly mentioned Michael Jordan refusing to get involved in politics. And to their credit, ESPN actually did this in a classy way. Other than that, it was strictly basketball. But when it comes to Megan Rapinoe, the worldwide leader in woke, they did the complete opposite, which I guess it kind of makes sense because Megan Rapinoe, she is not known for anything she has accomplished on the soccer field. All of the Megster's greatest accomplishments, all those happened off the field. Like the time she begged the Sue bird to accept her as her spouse. "Oh, please, Sue, I'm the closest you're ever going to get to a real man. I have been impersonating men my entire life. I'm an expert." Earlier this morning, ESPN aired a 3.5 minute disaster honoring the career of what I believe is the most dangerous athlete this country's ever seen. And when I say dangerous, I'm not talking about in the physical sense. I'm not talking about physical danger. Megan Rapinoe's absolutely harmless. She wouldn't hurt a fly. She might eat it, but she wouldn't physically harm it. Maggie, the reason I say she is dangerous is because of the mentality that she pushes and the influence that she has over young women and young men aspiring to be women. Now, I'm not going to show the full 3.5 minute montage, but I pieced together some of the best parts for you. This disaster It is narrated by the Sue Bird, who took a break from nest building to honor her wife? I don't know. Watch for yourself.
Wherever she's gone, she's represented the best of the United States. Over her more than 14 years representing the U.S. national team, Megan has done things her own way, and it has lifted her into the pantheon of all-time great athletes. Her patriotism is what has driven her to lend her voice to those who need it. When she started kneeling to protest racial inequality in the United States, she did it because she loved America and believed it could be a better version of itself. When she fought for equal pay, she didn't do it for herself. She did it for the young girls who have yet to represent the U.S.
The Sue Bird begins the clip by claiming that Megan Rapinoe represented the best of America. Really? Really? You mean to tell me Megan Rapinoe is the best America has to offer? What do you think the rest of the world thinks when they see this representation of America? Put yourself in their shoes. Imagine for a second that Megan Rapinoe is from Argent, used to be Tina. She is marketed to the world as the face of the country. When you saw this representation on the field, what would it make you assume about the people from Argent, used to be Tina? Most people would wonder, what the hell's going on down there? Just imagine what people from other countries think about America when we are marketing Megan Rapinoe as the face of our country. On the positive side, this is one way to fix the issue of illegal immigration. Matter of fact, this is actually a brilliant plan. Have the rest of the world believe that all Americans are like Megan Rapinoe. Eventually, people living in straw huts down in Guatemala, they'll think it's not so bad down here. The Sue Bird also claimed through the 14 years the constantly changing hair represented America, the Megster did things her own way. And I happen to agree. That is the biggest problem, though. Megan Rapinoe is arguably the most selfish athlete to ever represent this country. This was never about representing America to Megan Rapinoe. This was never about the team. It was never about the country. Her demonstrations, it was never about BLM or police brutality. When Megan Rapinoe kneeled for the national anthem, when she wore BLM shirts during pregame warm-ups, it was never about the cause. It was always about Megan Rapinoe. She hijacked these movements for personal gain. Just think about it. Before she became a political activist, Megan Rapinoe was completely unknown. She was anonymous. Seriously, how many of you guys had heard of Megan Rapinoe before 2019 or 2020? How many of you knew about Meggie before she started kneeling for the national anthem? She had won 2 World Cups. 99% of the country never heard of her. She was 10 years into her soccer career and she was still unknown. Back then, Megan Rapinoe could walk into a Starbucks and more people would recognize the barista. She was making minimum wage in the NWSL. She was broke. All of a sudden, she begins kneeling for the national anthem. She becomes a full-time activist. And Meggie becomes a millionaire. Speaking of the national anthem, the Sue Bird claimed that her spouse kneeled for the national anthem because she loved this country. She loved America. Someone please explain to me how disrespecting the country is showing your love for the country. How does that work? She has accused America of mythical racism. She claimed America is filled with oppression. She pushed the false notion that people are not watching women's sports because America is filled with misogyny and toxic masculinity, when the real reason the majority of Americans refuse to watch women's sports is because they're not as entertaining as the men. And don't even get me started on this bullshit with equal pay. I could not believe the way ESPN spun this. They tried to paint Megan Rapinoe as this unselfish patriot. She was not fighting for equal pay for her own personal gain. Megan is so unselfish. She was fighting for women of the future. Meg made it her personal goal to ensure women would be compensated for not generating revenue. Let me ask you something. Who was compensated last year when the men advanced in the World Cup? Was that 13-year-old Susie who aspires to be a professional soccer player, or was it Megan Rapinoe. I am pretty sure I remember seeing Meggie sitting in her nest, celebrating when the men advanced in the World Cup, knowing that she just made millions of dollars in the comfort of her own nest. Speaking of 13-year-old Susie, whom Meggie was supposedly fighting for, Susie, she will never reap the benefits of equal pay. Not if Megan Rapinoe has it her way. No, 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 no! Susie would not qualify for the women's soccer team because her spot would be given to Sam, who is choosing to identify as Samantha. This piece from ESPN was nothing but propaganda. They tried to show Megan Rapinoe as something that she's not. Oh, Meggie is so loved, her teammates can't mention her retirement without crying. Yeah, those are tears of joy. Normal people, we were crying yesterday morning too. Normal people were overjoyed that we are finally going into fungal remission. But like I told you guys before, this remission is not real. Megan Rapinoe is not going away. Towards the end of the clip, the Sue Bird admitted that her spouse is going to continue using her platform to represent Woke United Methodist. And to be honest with you, the propaganda pushed by Megan Rapinoe, it is only going to get worse going forward. Because now her schedule completely open. She's got nothing else to do but push her twisted agenda. This montage, it is also the reason that people are no longer watching ESPN. If ESPN honored the actual soccer career of Megan Rapinoe, I don't think most people would have a problem with it. It wouldn't be a big deal. This thing was 3.5 minutes long. 3 minutes. 3 minutes dedicated to her woke accolades. Why do you think that is? For one, ESPN used this opportunity to further their own narrative. But two, Megan Rapinoe is not known for being a soccer player. She is known for being a professional activist. She is known for being a deacon at Woke United Methodist. When you honor someone, you highlight what they're known for. ESPN spent 30 seconds on her soccer career, 3 minutes on her career as a political activist. That should tell you all you need to know about Megan Rapinoe. But give me your thoughts. ESPN supposedly honors the soccer career of Megan Rapinoe by highlighting her career as an activist. Now, do you think Megan Rapinoe is the worst representative America's ever seen? Politically speaking, is she the most dangerous athlete? You let me know. Sound off in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe. Click the notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com, KC_BTL84 on Twitter. I'll see you guys later.